This is Planet 76, your source for all things Philadelphia 76ers. We've got another great episode coming your way today, and we're cleared for takeoff. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Planet 76, your source for all things Philadelphia 76ers. My name is Troy. I am one of your co-hosts for Planet 76, and just flying solo tonight, recapping the Philadelphia 76ers matchup with the Brooklyn Nets that just went final. I'm recording here at 10 o'clock Thursday night, December 16th, and the Sixers lose again, and this is just a brief episode to recap that. Hey, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're glad that you're here. We drop content every single week, once a week at least, talking about the 76ers, and we talk about matchups that just happened. We preview matchups that are upcoming, and just give some hot takes, some opinions on all things 76ers. So do us a favor and make sure whatever platform you are on, you go ahead and subscribe. That's going to help us, and we can help you with that by automatically having episodes uploaded straight to your library. So do that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for us. Follow us on Instagram, Planet 76 Podcast, and that's my little promo, and let's just get into it. So 76ers drop one tonight in Brooklyn by a score of 114-105. Pretty interesting game. I got to watch the whole game, of course, and just an interesting game full of runs, really. So the Sixers and Nets started out the gate, could not miss, both teams, and then Sixers eventually cooled off. The Nets ended up taking a 39-25 lead at the end of the first. They could not miss, if I'm being completely honest. It really seemed like the Nets just couldn't miss in the first quarter, and it carried over into the second quarter as well. The Nets ended up taking a 20-point lead, I believe, or an 18-point lead into halftime. The lead did get as large as 20. Sixers went on a good run, just to kind of recap the runs, and then we'll break it down from there. Sixers went on a run in the third quarter, won that by a score of 31-19. So we're only down to 6 points heading to the fourth. And then, of course, 114-105 was the final. Sixers never were able to take the lead in the fourth quarter, but they did have it tied twice. A couple chances, really, to get a go-ahead bucket. A couple minutes left. Tobias Harris from the corner down by 2. He missed. Joel Embiid tied it a couple times with some nice buckets. Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle were a part of some runs to begin the fourth quarter, some tray balls, some steals. Andre Drummond got a steal and a breakaway and traveled, and they didn't call it. He got a slam dunk. But yeah, so some notables from this one. Joel Embiid for the Sixers dropped 32. He looked pretty good, 11 of 20 from the field, 9 for 11 from the free throw line, to go along with 9 boards and 6 assists in 33 minutes. Joel played pretty well. Seth Curry had 29 in this one, 21 shot attempts for Seth. But the story in this one, especially in the fourth, I don't know how many he had in the fourth, but Kevin Durant, I mean, he's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. He had 34 tonight, 13 of 24 from the field, 11 boards, 8 assists, and an absolute dagger with about a minute 45 to go in this one. So Sixers tied it. Joel Embiid got a bucket to tie it. KD comes down the court and early on in the shot clock just pulls up from the top of the key, 3, drains it, and the foul. Tobias Harris clearly fouled him. Not sure why or what he was doing there, but he fouled him. And Kevin Durant got it to go at the free throw line as well to go up 4. Sixers come back down next possession, minute 20 left. Don't get anything to go. I forget even what happened. They didn't score. Nets return down the court next possession. Blake Griffin, after a double team of Kevin Durant, KD gives it up to Blake. Blake hits a 3. Sixers timeout. Sixers are down by 7 with like a minute and 13 to go, and that's the story. That's the game right there. So all in all, I don't want to say I'm upset about this one, but when you're down by 20 on the road and you come back to tie it and then you lose like that, it can be a little frustrating, I think, and I'm sure all of you that watch the game feel the same. Just a little bit of frustration there. Sixers were without Tyrese Maxey tonight. They were without George Niang. They were without Furkan Korkmaz. Joel played, Andre played, everybody else played, but without those three guys, this looked like a game that Maxey could have made a difference in, that's for sure. But he did not go tonight, nursing an injury. He played well last night against the Miami Heat in the loss there. So Sixers slide to 15-15 on the year. Following, they were 15-12 coming off a win against the red-hot Golden State Warriors, and then to drop 3 in a row. To drop last night's game in Miami without Bam, without Jimmy Butler, without Tyler Hero is just, I don't even know where to begin with that, but it was really a two-man show. I mean, you heard the stats that I read out. Joel Embiid and Seth Curry combined for 32 and 29 apiece, and then Shake Milton had 13. Tobias Harris was bad tonight. And usually on Planet 76, I'm one to stick up for Tobias Harris, but he's been a guy that's been under a lot of scrutiny lately in Sixers land, and I don't think tonight's numbers are going to help him. He had 11 on 3 of 17, 7 boards, 5 assists. That's good, but his plus-minus was a negative 17. And then, of course, the 2 plays late. So Tobias gets it in the corner, wide open, down by 2, minute and a half to go. Can't get it to go. And then he fouls Kevin Durant when it's tied from 3, and Durant gets a 4-point play in a tie game under 2 minutes. You want to talk about something you don't want to do? You don't want to give a guy a 4-point play in a tie game with under 2 minutes. And you especially don't want to give it to Kevin Durant because he is that good. I'm really not. I'd have to watch it again. Like I said, I'm just recording straight off the end of the game itself, but that was a pretty clueless play, I will say, by Tobias Harris. Not good. Not good. And his numbers were not good all night. Negative 17 again, plus minus, by far the worst in the game. Sixers only, again, to point to the Sixers' depth, they only played 8 guys tonight. Drummond had a decent run. Matisse had some plays. Hit a couple threes. He was 2 for 4 from 3. Love to see that. And Isaiah Joe pretty much did nothing as that 8th man. He played 25 minutes. He actually he led the bench minutes. He played 25 minutes. Thybulle only played 18. Drummond only 15. And in Isaiah Joe's 25 minutes, he was a negative 14, 0 points, 0 of 4 from the field, and a couple rebounds. So not a strong showing from Isaiah Joe. I don't know what you expect from Isaiah Joe, but something would have been good for an 8-man rotation. You're the guy getting the most minutes off the bench. You don't score. That ain't good. It's only 12 points off the bench for the Sixers compared to 26 for the Brooklyn Nets. Blake had a decent game, had 17. The Nets drew some charges late that were just kind of frustrating to see, I guess. Claxton was 8 of 9 from the field. Just looking at the box score right now, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Sixers are 15-15 after this game with the Nets. We'll see if they can regroup. This is the second of a back-to-back. They got the Pelicans coming up on the 19th. So coming up on Sunday, get a little break here for the Sixers and back at it at home at the center against the 9-21 Pelicans. So hopefully the Sixers can avoid falling below 500. The one thing I will say about the Nets game, a couple more things to say, is going back to this crunch time situation where Tobias Harris is set up on Kevin Durant. And Tobias Harris has improved, at least in his time as a Sixer on the defensive end. I'm confident in being able to say that. But he being matched up with Kevin Durant late in the game, and again, it's Kevin Durant. You put anyone on him, he can score, like we know that. But to me, one of the questions I had, especially like coming after timeouts and stuff, you want a defensive lineup, why don't you put Matisse Thybulle out there? Not for Tobias Harris, I get that. Like, Tobias is going to stay in the game, of course, but why don't you put Matisse Thybulle out there? Put him on KD, put Tobias on somebody else. Matisse might just make a play. Like, could Durant very well hit a 3 on Matisse Thybulle? Absolutely. But could Matisse Thybulle make a play? Do something? Get creative, get in a passing lane, jump, something, come over for a double team. Like, I wanted Matisse Thybulle out there, for those defensive situations, see if we can get a stop, because, that's what we didn't get over those last few possessions, those 2 big threes after it was tied. And then, boom, in 15 seconds, it's a 7-point game with 1 minute and 15 seconds to go, and it's over. So that was one of the things that I thought, okay, maybe that would have been nice to have Matisse Thybulle out there. Because, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I took some notes. 110-103 with 1 minute 13 to go. And it was tied. Embiid tied it at 103 with 1 minute 45. So 32 seconds later, it's a 7-point game. Due in part to Tobias Harris and the foul. Next possession was Seth Curry. He missed a 3, and then Blake Griffin hit a 3. Which you'll live with. I think him taking it. They sent the double for KD. Rightfully so. But hey, it's the Brooklyn Nets that are leading the Eastern Conference right now. And just would have been nice. It looked like it was going to be a blowout or runaway game for the Brooklyn Nets. So at least the Sixers showed some fight tonight. That was good to see, even while shorthanded. And, something we've talked about on this podcast in recent episodes is a key for the 76ers moving forward in order to climb in those Eastern Conference standings is going to be health. And, I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't think of a 2-game, 3-game stretch where the Sixers have had their, roster pretty much intact, standard, what it's going to be. They just can't seem to catch a break, whether it's COVID, whether it's a non-COVID related illness, I think, which is what Furkan has, whether it's a slight injury like Tyrese Maxey, because Tyrese Maxey's a difference maker, man. Like, and it's just so nice when we have him out there, and he wasn't able to go tonight. It's just stuff like that. And that was a late scratch, and it hurt. You see that. I saw that pop up on my phone 15 minutes before the game. I was like, oh, boy. Because it would have been nice to have Tyrese out there. This was one that you think he could have shined a little bit. But anyway, I think that's all I have. Wanted to give a quick recap, whatever you want to call it, of the Sixers and the Brooklyn Nets on Thursday night at the Barclays Center. And again, Sixers drop this one 114 to 105 from the Barclays. 114-105. Some good fight. I know it's been a little negative, but some good fight. Joel played well. Seth played well. I thought Shake looked okay at times for stretches. And let me look at what Shake had real quick. So Shake had 13, 6, no assists. That ain't good. That's probably the story of the game. Your point guard had 0 assists. So that shows even that he was off ball a lot in 34 minutes. Kind of interesting. 5 of 13 from the field. He had stretches. Again, the bench had stretches. With Drummond, Thybulle, Isaiah Joe, and like Seth out there, they were able to get back in it a little bit there in the fourth quarter. Things were looking good, and then Kevin Durant kind of took over. So. Again, that's it for Planet 76. Kind of a short episode talking about the Brooklyn Nets. Next up, New Orleans Pelicans coming on Sunday. So be sure to tune in next episode as we preview that and some more action coming for the Sixers as we approach Christmas and approach the new year. We'll see you next time on Planet 76. Are you on Instagram? Why don't you go give us a follow at Planet 76 Podcast so you can be in the know when we drop new episodes. Thanks for listening to this one, and we'll see you next time.